Welcome back to General Hospital, Michael's moment of reckoning for Willow and the fallout that could shatter everything **** in the intricate, constantly shifting landscape of Port Charles. Truth has become the rarest of commodities, and trust even rarer still. No one understands this better than Michael, who has quietly watched the destruction unfold around Willow while holding his tongue, until now. For months, Michael tried to warn Willow that Drew wasn't the man he pretended to be. Despite Michael's best efforts, his ex-wife and mother of his children chose to ignore the red flags. Instead, she placed her faith, and the future of their fractured family, into the hands of a man increasingly driven by secrecy, power, and manipulation. But that era of silence may be coming to an end. Michael finally has the proof he's been waiting for, and it may be the very thing that fractures Willow's illusions for good. The revelation that Nina and Drew were having an affair behind Willow's back wasn't a shock to Michael. In fact, it felt like vindication. He knew something was off about Drew's behavior, his sudden overprotectiveness, and the way he subtly isolated Willow from the rest of her support system. And now, as the news of that betrayal begins to circulate through the Corinthos family's inner circles, it will likely land hardest on Willow, who placed all of her trust in Drew, the man who promised her stability but delivered only chaos. For Michael, this is a moment loaded with bitter satisfaction and painful consequence. He warned her, and she didn't listen. What makes the betrayal even more gut-wrenching is the depth of deception Drew employed to keep Willow close. One of the most pivotal lies involved her emotional trip to Germany. Willow had believed she was visiting Michael during his recovery in a burn unit, only to be told by a clinic receptionist that Michael didn't want to see her. That story, of course, was a fabrication paid for by Drew, who bribed the receptionist to emotionally sever any lingering bond between Willow and Michael. It worked. Willow returned from Germany convinced that Michael had rejected her during a vulnerable moment. In truth, Michael never even knew she was there. But the betrayal didn't stop there. Drew's manipulation ran deeper, especially when it came to Wiley and Amelia. During the contentious custody battle that followed Willow's separation from Michael, Drew cunningly ensured that Wiley would overhear him discussing Michael's supposed disinterest in his children. Drew even told Rick that Michael didn't want Wiley or Amelia anymore because he was preparing for a new baby with Willow. When Wiley confronted his father, confused and hurt, Michael realized just how far Drew was willing to go to twist the narrative and poison his children's perception of him. Furious and cornered, Michael gave Willow an ultimatum: either walk away from Drew and begin working toward a compromise regarding visitation rights, or risk losing Wiley and Amelia for good. But instead of listening, Willow doubled down. She didn't just choose Drew. She defended him with blind devotion, even as her children's emotional well-being hung in the balance. Michael watched helplessly as the woman he once loved stood firm behind a man who had manipulated her, lied to her, and used her own children as pawns in a twisted game. And yet, despite everything, Michael hasn't turned his back completely. He's postponed the visitation hearing until October, leaving the door open, if only slightly, for Willow to prove that her loyalty no longer lies with Drew. Whether or not she will take that opportunity is another story entirely. But with Nina's secrets bubbling to the surface, another storm may be heading Willow's way, one that could finally shatter her defenses and force her to face the full extent of her mistakes. Whispers are beginning to circulate that Willow may have done something drastic, something that goes far beyond bad judgment. Nina, ever the suspicious observer, reportedly believes that Willow may have kidnapped Sasha's baby, Daisy, during one of her emotional breakdowns. If that turns out to be true, the consequences won't just be emotional, they'll be legal. Sasha, who left Port Charles after receiving threats believed to be aimed at Sunny through her daughter, has stayed silent about Daisy's whereabouts, hoping to protect the child from whatever danger loomed. If Willow was involved in that disappearance, her future with Wiley and Amelia is at serious risk. Should Michael discover this betrayal, especially after everything Willow has already put the family through, he won't hesitate to act. Protecting his children is Michael's highest priority, and if that means cutting Willow out completely, so be it. For now, the situation hangs in delicate balance. Willow, torn between the wreckage of her romantic delusion and the possible loss of her children, may finally come to Michael, desperate to make amends. If she does, Michael could be generous. He may agree to allow supervised visits or even limited custody. But if he learns she played a role in hiding or endangering Daisy, all negotiations will collapse, and the fight will get uglier than ever. The sad truth is that Willow's entire sense of self was wrapped up in Drew. The man she believed rescued her, protected her, and helped her rebuild. To accept that it was all a lie is to unravel the last thread of stability she's been clinging to since her world began to fall apart. And if Michael chooses this moment to say, "I told you so," it may be the final blow that breaks her entirely. But Michael, despite the anger and betrayal, is not a man ruled by cruelty. He wants what's best for his children. Even if that includes offering a fractured version of peace to the woman who once shared his life. Still, peace has a price. And if Willow wants any hope of salvaging her relationship with Wiley and Amelia, she must sever all remaining ties with Drew and come clean about every lie, every manipulation, and every betrayal, including her role, if any, in the disappearance of Daisy. The question is whether she can muster the courage to do so before Michael learns the truth on his own. Because if that happens, Willow's redemption may no longer be an option. What comes next for Michael, Willow, and the children will depend on what choices are made in the days ahead. Will Michael soften in the face of Willow's vulnerability, or will he stand firm in his convictions, protecting his family at all costs? Can Willow face the consequences of her denial and deception, or will she continue to spiral, clinging to a fantasy that's already burned to ashes? And will Nina's suspicion trigger a deeper investigation, one that unearths secrets none of them are prepared to face? In Port Charles, every decision carries weight, and every lie leaves a trail. For Willow and Michael, the path forward may be filled with more pain than peace, but the reckoning has begun. Drew's fall has only just started, but the ripple effects are already crashing into the lives of everyone around him. Whether Willow survives the fallout depends not on her love for Drew, but on her willingness to finally let go of him. And for Michael, the clock is ticking on forgiveness. Once it runs out, there may be no way back.